Hi, this is Lucy and this is
Sasha. Cheese.
My first thought-provoking question would be, what do you think of the phrase, with great power comes great responsibility?
That's a good one. Yeah. With great power, I feel like there becomes that, like, there's a lot of things, there's a lot of layers to that, especially depending on, like, the context you're in. But, like, it can mean, like, power over others and, like, the way you exert yourself on others, and if you're not careful, like, the way you hurt others. Power, like, maybe you're higher up in a company and you're dating someone below you. Like, that can get very messy. Or even, like, physical power. Like, you're an older sibling and you're stronger. Like, you roughhouse with your siblings, you can hurt them easier. So it can mean a lot of things. Yeah.
With great power comes great responsibility. I guess I just think of, like, when you get more power, you're more corrupt. And, like, with that, you know, you have to make more difficult choices in order to, like, stay morally sound.
So would you say that this would apply, for example, in the relationship between a pet parent and a pet?
Oh. Yeah, I think it would, because I personally grew up on a hobby farm, and I had a lot of animals growing up. Teach you that responsibility. Like, if we were little kids and we were, like, throwing a fit because we didn't go in the snow to, like, feed the animals, he's like, that's so disrespectful, like, to that animal's life. And we also hunted, but it was like, that was like sustenance hunting. And I don't hunt anymore because I don't like killing things. but it was like, you don't make that animal suffer. Like, you don't disrespect them like that. And, like, that goes in with, like, the power thing is, like, you have that power, and because you have that power, like, it's your duty to, like, look out for someone that you feel has less power. We have that power, and, like, we think animals lesser than us, but it's just like a Native American culture where it's like we're all in this together. Like, it's very connected, fluid, no one's above the other. Right. But yeah, it's very easy in the Western culture to be like, oh, you're above, and they can't communicate that, so it's your job to look out for them, like that. Like, I was a history major.
I'm just, like, enamored by you. I'm like, wow. I am a dog mom, and, like, there were times where I was irresponsible, and I would, like, leave the house and go to a concert, and, like, I was young. I'm still young, but, like, I was 18, and I left the house, and I didn't come back for, like, a day and a half. And when I came home, like, my baby had, like, gone through, like, the garbage can and, like, was freaking out, and, like, the look of, like, sadness and fear in her eyes, like, I could, like, it was, like, despicable, like, the way that I treated her. And, like, yeah, I would never, like, do that again, or, like, want to put any bugger like that, like, through that, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, like, yeah, there's, like, a certain amount of, like, cruelty to it.
What would be the bare minimum you would expect for in that relationship between the pet parent and the pet? Meaning, what's the bare minimum of good treatment towards that animal?
I mean, that's one of the reasons I don't have a dog right now, even though I want one, is because, like, I want to be able to provide that, like, quality of life, and, like, I want to be able to, like, cook them food at least once a week. And so, like, I feel like the bare minimum would be, like, it's, like, not even just, like, meeting those needs, like the mammalian needs or whatever, of, like, you know, shelter, a sense of safety, like food and water, but it's, like, that really basic, like, quality of shelter, like, quality of food. Like, it's, like, one thing to be like, oh yeah, they can come inside when it storms, or, like, they have to be in their crate all day. It's like, okay, yeah, they're sheltered, but what's that quality of life?
Just out of curiosity, is this, like, a pro-choice, like, pro? Okay, I was like, this will totally, like, dictate my answers, like, depending on, like, if it's, like, one of those things where it's, like, you're trying to lead us to, like, a certain... Yeah, okay. I think, like, treating them like you would, like a younger sibling. Giving them love, like, making them feel seen, anticipating their needs, and, like, water, food. But also, like, I think, like, a big part of being a pet parent is, like, letting them experience, like, what they, like, naturally would experience. So, like, a dog used to be a wolf, right? So, like, get your dog outside, let them, like, run without a leash, go on a rampage, like, same with, like, probably maybe a rabbit. I don't know if you could, like, let your rabbit go, but, you know, like, let them have that sense of, like, freedom that you get when you walk out of the house. Like, leaving them cooped up, I feel like it's, like, what makes, like, a bad dog is, like, having them not be able to like go out and explore, you know? I'm always like, be free, like go where you want.
Do you eat or purchase cows, chickens, for example, or eggs, or like wear leather or wool, for example?
I don't eat like store-bought meat that much anymore. Like growing up, we packaged all our meat, like we hunted all our meat, like we were a little isolated, and so it's just like my family will like send me meat that they package, and that's where I get a lot of it. But like I don't actively like buy meat on my own. And like eggs, like I buy store-bought eggs, but like I know the quality of life for chickens in factories, and I don't really like that. I used to raise chickens, and I would like sell the eggs to my neighbors. I like hand delivered them as a kid. And we did raise like feeder chickens one time, which I never again. I didn't like that. That's pretty gross. I don't like that they're like modified to like if they eat so much, you have to like monitor how much they eat, and if they grow too fast, their legs give out. I was like, it's really icky. Sometimes I buy meat. Okay. Yeah, not all the time.
Yes.
Straightforward.
I was vegan for a few years and vegetarian, but like I like relapsed like maybe a year ago and fell right back in. Yeah.
Would it be okay if I showed you like a 3-minute video on the standard practices in animal agriculture? Yeah, awesome.
That's not a good face.
Damn.
Yeah, I know. All right. So how did that make you feel watching it?
I don't know. It's awful. It straight up is. I had a privilege being able to like participate in where my food comes from. Is a rare opportunity, especially nowadays.
I feel really sad. And just like I remember when I became a vegan, I watched like it was like Cowspiracy or something. Oof. And it was like something really similar to that. And it's interesting because like when I see that, I'm like my main like one of the biggest things I focus on in my life is like treating other people the way that I want to be treated, and like being empathetic and being kind to like nature, to like people around me, to like, you know, other beings. But like watching that, I'm like in my head, I'm like, wow, like how hypocritical have I been recently, and that I am like, you know, focused so much on kindness, yet like, you know, purchasing some things without like really giving a thought to like what happens behind the scenes. And that's like, you know, with anything like shopping at Walmart, like any type of like anything to do with consumerism.
So my next question would be a challenging one. So how do you think the animals in the video feel?
Fucking terrified. They still debate on whether or not fish feel pain, but like I'm fairly confident animals of like any species feel pain. Like they feel fear. Like if you spend any amount of time with any animal, they're the same as people in the way that they have personalities, and that you can like see it in their eyes.
Fish have been shown to be
Yeah.
sentient.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they're terrified. I'm sure like like I wonder how they would be able, like if, you know, they have some form of communication that we just don't understand. If, you know, it's like some like chicken run shit. Yeah, I'm sure it's like, yeah, it's like terrible. Yeah.
Okay, so that now it's gonna start to make a little bit more sense. I'm going back to the beginning when I was asking you about the pet-parent relationship. In the relationship that humans have with these farmed animals or these fish or whatever species, would you say that we have power over them and that they're vulnerable to us?
Absolutely. There isn't a part of the world that hasn't been impacted by like humans. Like Japan, that was hit by like that tsunami a few years ago, and they took out that nuclear plant.
Oh yeah.
And they've been consistently cooling the nuclear plant with like ocean water for like years now, and they're just so locked up on storage of all this like contaminated water. And the world isn't happy about this, and especially the Japanese fishermen, but they've decided to start releasing that water back into the ocean because they don't know what else to do with it. And this is the easiest, cheapest, fastest option. But fish off the coast of like fucking Florida, California, like everywhere, they're showing up with the markers of this. And it's like, yes, like that's a clear example of how us having the power because we immediately alter everything for them.
Yeah, I mean, like, we're the supreme beings, right, on Earth. Like, we evolved to be in charge. And, like, you know, over the past, like, whatever, 200 or 300 years, like, we really have, like, taken over, like, every aspect of the Earth. Yeah, it's like what you were saying. Like, you can't escape it.
Since we established, you know, like food, shelter, making them feel seen, you said, like, you know, anticipating their needs, etc., is kind of the bare minimum that we've established in a relationship like this. Would you say that animal agriculture meets that?
No. No, not at all.
No. Absolutely not.
I remember when they started, I grew up in like the Red River Valley of Minnesota, which is like some of the most fertile earth in the United States. And they just started putting these like pig sheds up where I was growing up. And like before that it would be like, you know, small farmers with like their own small, like maybe like very, very small dairy farms, very, very family size small pig farms. And like the quality of life with that, what I say was like mildly better than what we have now. But they put up these weird ass like 300 foot by like 200 foot buildings, and they're spaced every so many miles apart to like in case of like a disease pops up in one of them. And my dad was explaining that to me, and it was just weird because they're just like self-sustaining. Like people check on them every day, but like it's just this shed full of animals out by itself. It's they don't get sunlight.
All right. So I have a challenging question for you. Yeah. So because we've kind of like talked around it a little bit. So all right, my challenging question would be, how do you humanely kill someone who doesn't want to die?
Humanely kill someone who doesn't want to be killed? Oh, is this about the death penalty?
No.
Oh, okay.
In terms of more like about the animals.
Right. Humanely kill someone, like thinking of the animal as someone. Yes. I don't think you can humanely kill someone who doesn't want to be killed. Like you're actively taking something away. Something like that will end everything.
Yeah, I mean, there is no like humane way to kill something that doesn't want to be killed. But then it makes me wonder, like, you know, a tree wants to grow, right? And like I assume, like, you know, if a sunflower's reaching up towards the sky, it's wanting to grow. Is like picking a flower or, you know, like cutting down a tree like just as humane or despicable? Like, I don't know. Where does the line end? You know what I mean? Like, at what point is it like, okay, like, does this tree have feelings? Like, yeah, I think it probably does.
Actually, I mean, obviously, plants are alive, right? They don't necessarily have pain receptors. They might have some version of it. But I mean, obviously, it's not obvious. But I mean, obviously, I'm vegan. I'm police.
What? Just kidding.
That would be a little weird if I wasn't doing this. But so I do care about plants, and actually, it's also a reason why I'm vegan because crops in the U.S. are fed to animals, and so basically, a vegan eats like kills less plants. In that way, so I kind of like you know, like you still gonna have an impact, right? But to me, it's about like not exploiting. Like animals at least that have an instinct of survival, etc. Right. And of course, I do need to sustain myself, but in the way that is a win-win kind of like for the world as best as I can, kind of thing. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Absolutely. I definitely like, it's like you're respecting the earth more because you see like what could be avoided in terms of like scorching her, and like you take those steps to like, you know, it's like what you're saying, it's like a win-win. I remember when I was vegan and it was so stressful driving, you know, walking down the street, bubblegum.
You were hyper aware?
Oh, so hyper aware. And veganism, like, you know, was one of the ways that I like funneled that, and I felt like I could be more in control. But at some point it's like, oh my god, you know, like now I feel bad eating a salad because I'm like, fuck this. Sorry, excuse my French. Are you French? Yes. Okay, I'm like, excuse my French, and then I'm like, sorry. Yeah, it's just interesting, like looking at, you know, like, just like how deep you can get in that like moral like funnel of like, oh my god, yeah.
What can we do, and what is like too, like what's the limit between what, like what's easily avoidable and what's impossible kind of thing. But like veganism is not too much about eliminating suffering or even reducing it. It does do that, but it's mainly about like it's being against the exploitation and use of animals. And so there's like, it's kind of like, the difference between accidents and like purposefully killing or exploiting someone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So if people like us who care, because I've seen your reactions on the footage, you're really empathetic people, you're very thoughtful. And so if people like us who care about this don't make change happen, who will?
No one. Like, the way we treat these animals is like, I don't know, maybe it'll cause something evolutionary to go wrong. Maybe it'll just, like, maybe climate change will force it to change. But, like, nothing will actively change until something severely destructive happens or we all change our mentality about it.
Yeah, definitely seconded. And I think that it's a heavy like burden to have on your shoulders to, see people overeating and eating a burger and eating like just because they can, and then you're over here like on the side of the street like because you care about it. If you don't do it, who will? But I think it's also so like it's not like it's unfair because it's life and whatever, but it's like wow, like we're three young women, and like I just feel like there has to be some system in place that is better than like us being the people that this heavy burden lands on. And it's not, because it's not fair, right? But like it's like, why me?
Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has.